I am in a metal building about 2 miles away from the nearest macro that has 5G on it. All right, let me show you what my phone's got here. Let me see, I can get that to focus. 5G UW. Remember, I'm in a metal building 2 miles away. 5G UW. All right, how the heck is that happening? There is no way I'm getting 5G C-band from 2 miles away inside a metal building. This is all metal, all the way around, even on top. Never in a million years would I get C-band in here. How is that happening? Check out this speed. That is 42 by, I'd call that 42 by 20. All right, 42 by 20. I've been living here for 15 years. Never, ever have I had more than maybe 5 by 5, somewhere around in there, with nothing else going on. Okay, now with my booster I get a little bit more than that. Let me tell you why that 5G UW is now showing up. It's only been showing up for about 2 weeks. All right, now what happened a few months ago? We started deploying our 800 megahertz spectrum on 5G NR. Now you might say, well, wait a minute, Anson, I thought all this C-band stuff was where everything's at. That's the Goldilocks, right? Yes, but you need low band also to reach further. Yes. Now, if you're familiar with all the licensing and things like that and what we have, if you don't, it doesn't matter here, I'll tell you. We've had some 800 megahertz for eons. It's a little sliver. I think it was like 12 megahertz in my, what they call PEA, my area, my county, let's say. Now, a few months ago, we bought US Cellular Spectrum. What did we get? We got some 850, a little bit more. So right now, in this market anyway, we got about 24 megahertz. Now you might say, well, wait a minute, that's barely anything. C-band, we got 100, we have 160 national average, in some places we got 200, so on and so forth. Yes, but remember 5G, it's like going from, for you old guys, from ARCnet to Ethernet. The protocols are more efficient. The layer 2 is more efficient. The physical layer is more efficient. So all these things are going to lend themselves to better speed. They say about 20% better than if you're using LTE. You're going to get lower latency. You're going to get better jitter. You're going to use the spectrum more efficiently. So all these benefits are going to come. Even though you've got a low band and just a little sliver of spectrum, it's going to be more efficient. So how in the heck am I getting 5G UW in here? It's because I'm getting that band 5, that 850 megahertz. It's penetrating in here. But why am I getting it so strong? Well, let me tell you why. I've done some videos on this before. This is your normal, cheapy Amazon booster. All right, I've always needed it in here because it's a metal building. Let me just push the button here. I want you to look at, because it says what it's rebroadcasting. You see that LTE band? Now they just call it LTE. It's a 700 megahertz band. We have the cellular band. It's the 800. Hey, the 800. All right, and now we have PCS 1900 and AWS at 2100. So that thing is rebroadcasting 800. It doesn't know that it's 5G or 4G. It's just grabbing that stuff from outside and pumping it inside. If you guys aren't familiar, real quick, you know, you have two BNC connectors there. One's coming in from a donor antenna and one goes out as a serving antenna. Okay, there's the serving antenna. That's broadcasting inside here. On the other side of this wall, I have a mast, and then there's a LPDA antenna way up in the air out there. That's grabbing the stuff outside, bringing it inside. But hey, it's bringing that 850 inside, and it doesn't know any different. And it's bringing 5G inside. But let me pepper in a little bit more about FCC Part 90 because this might be new to you. So we've always had these, the MNOs always had spectrum in the lower bands, let's say 700, 600, all the way to 2100. Prior to 2011, if you needed a boost or something, and a lot of people did, there's fire departments that are in metal buildings, and there's schools, Some Walmarts out in the boonies are all metal buildings. So there's a lot of this stuff. So it's always been needed. So prior to 2011, there was two types of boosters out there. The licensed ones, where you had to go beg the FCC for licenses. You had to work with the MNOs, right? Because you're just not going to rebroadcast their frequencies. During that time, there was a lot of gray market, black market people building these boosters because people needed them. And if there's a need, somebody's willing to pay for it. And it doesn't matter if it's licensed or not, it's going to be out there. So in 2011, finally the FCC kind of said, okay, let's take a look at this. They worked with the MNOs and said, yep, we're going to make sure that private companies are going to be able to legitimately, without licensing, be able to create boosters for your Tractor Supply, schoolhouses, on and on, metal buildings. And then they had a list of frequencies that they could rebroadcast, right? It was licensed in. Nothing's been passed since that Part 90 in 2011. You would think that the FCC would have got together, hey, let's make sure they could rebroadcast C-band or these other bands that we've added, Band 48, CBRS, and stuff like that. No, I have my own opinions on the FCC. I won't give them here, but that hasn't happened. And it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. Now, a quick note on T-Mobile's Band 71. As I said, my booster's old. If you have boosters more than 2 years old or something like that, you saw the bands that they covered. Now, in 2022, T-Mobile lobbied the FCC. They kind of snuck in N71. That's their 600 megahertz that they put on 5G NR a couple years ago. So T-Mobile did sneak in there. At first, I was a little excited because all these older boosters and all the boosters were going to boost our 850 and R bands, and then everyone else would be left out. But that's not how it happened. And T-Mobile did sneak in there and got some things changed. It wasn't a addition to the Part 90. It was some little update. I just wanted to make that clear. If you go look on Amazon for boosters or something like that now, you'll see that they boost N71, and that is the low band that T-Mobile has as well. Okay, back to the Part 90. So since these things were able to be manufactured and sold, probably hundreds of thousands of them have been sold, and I happen to have one. I happen to need it here in my metal building. We have our family Thanksgiving and Christmas. We have Bible studies in here, and I got tired of people coming in here and picking up their AT&T phones or Verizon phones or whatever and say, hey, why can't I get connected? I'm trying to send a text. So I had to buy a off-the-shelf booster. Now, you fast forward, you saw that it's doing 800. So we're able to bring that 800 or that 850 in from outside. So just a little bit more on that. You can think of it as a vacuum cleaner. So the way these things were passed and the way these things are manufactured is they grab kind of a, let's call it a wide band of spectrum. So they know all the MNOs have from like 830 to 870 or something. So they'll manufacture them to grab 830 to 870. Outside, vacuum it up, bring it inside, and vice versa also. So they're not looking if it's AT&T or Verizon or Dish or whoever. So bringing them in, bringing them out. So the same for the other bands as well. They're doing kind of a wide swath of spectrum to bring in and go out. Now the entry levels, I didn't show you this guy. I had this guy up for a while. These are kind of entry level. This is Selfie by Nextivity. These are your intro or your cheapy commercial grade, let's call them. And they're able to broadcast at a higher dB level, so higher power inside. But you have to register them. You should go to the FCC website, and it's very easy. You can just Google FCC rebroadcast database. You go and you fill out a little sheet and you say, hey, I bought a Selfie, the model number is so-and-so, and I'm at 123 Elm Street, whatever. Just so they keep a database just in case there's any frequency disturbances around your area. They can go to that database and say, hey, I see Anson has one of these things. He might be causing the interference. Let's call him up and tell him to shut it off and see if things clean up. So that's kind of the reason out there. It's kind of an honor system, really.
But you should do it. In fact, you should even do your residential boosters as well, like the one I have. So that's it. I hope you understand that a little bit and understand why this is so cool that even these old boosters are bringing this 5G 850 that we are putting on air inside. And like I said at the beginning, my speeds are tremendous in here. 30 by 10 or whatever it was that we saw on my phone. Doesn't seem like a lot, but I know I've been testing RF for a long time, and I know that that 5G band, even though it's a 10 by 10 sliver, is performing wonderfully, much better than a 10 by 10 if I would grab from LTE. So that's it. Hopefully you learned something.